Good morning, Mike. How you
Hey,
doing?
hey, Steve. Tuesday, March
Tuesday,
31st, the
March
last day of the
31st.
month.
Yeah. Yeah.
How's it
You
going?
know what I realized yesterday? You know what we missed yesterday?
What?
Yesterday was National Doctors Day. We missed that, man.
Ah,
That would have been great
well,
to sort of
we need
call
a
out and
shout
give
out to all the
thanks. Yeah,
doctors,
yeah, yeah,
all the
yeah,
healthcare
yeah.
workers.
But
Some really cool
let's
stuff going
let's
on.
let's not let that happen again. Just so that we take the opportunity to thank everybody who's putting themselves out there. But how you doing today? What's that
Good,
jersey you're wearing? Champions? You
good.
champions or something?
Oh, yeah. My Washington Nationals, World
Nice.
Series champions last year. Had a little chance to see them at spring training before all things went sideways. So we were getting ready for our defensive season, defending that title. And then it got canceled. So no big deal. That was upsetting at first, but boy, in the bigger picture, isn't it funny how a few weeks of perspective kind of puts all those things like sports in perspective? But you said how important sports are to you, right? Are you doing okay without your soccer, your football?
No, man, I'm not. I'm not.
Not
I'm
doing
missing
well.
it terribly. I'm terribly. It's
I think
terrible.
it's
And
tough. It
you
is
know, there
tough.
there is only so much that all those channels that have been created over the last number of years, dedicated to various sports teams and so on and so forth. There's only so much they can talk about. So the
Yeah.
content gets a little repetitive. But yeah, I miss it. Obviously, look, it's sport is insignificant to what everyone's going through right now. But at the same time, for a lot of people, sports is that escapism, right? It's the ability to switch off. You
Yeah.
get all the emotions, and I don't know how emotional you get when you're watching the
Oh,
baseball.
chills, baby. Chills.
So I mean, as you've seen some of the soccer stadiums around the world, so it kind of captivates us, right? And
It
mentally,
does.
we're in that zone for a little while. So I'm missing that escapism. I'm missing the soccer. I miss it terribly. Yeah.
Is that the sense you get of people out there? I mean, you have a window with your open source workplace, the content people are looking for. Uh, I'm always looking for current event stuff, and at least I have been, but now I'm getting a little bit into a routine of I know generally where things stand. I don't need the hourly updates. I don't even need the daily updates in a lot of ways. I think we get a real sense now, these 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, whatever we are, that this is going to be a long journey. Let's get back to some normalcy. So, are you finding people looking for content that's more related to what I would call normal workplace related content? Are they looking for some humor? Are they open to that? What do you think?
It's a great question, and obviously one of the great things, and if you do have a resource, as I'm sure you see with your iOffice content, you get to see what people are searching for, what people are reading, what's been tracking over the last 7 days, and there's one or two pieces of articles that it's been kind of consistent from work from home since it's been in play. Um, or home office ergonomics is a big topic that I've seen really increase.
So practical
And
stuff. Still people there's a lot of folks that we got to remember aren't like us. They're setting up their home offices for the first time
yeah,
and getting used to it. So I think about a lot of those people trying to establish routines and getting their productivity back to what it was, or at least close to what it was. It's one of the questions I ask on my weekly live stream at iOffice on Wednesdays is that, where do you stand? Are you doing okay? Are you as productive as ever? Or a little bit of a drop off? Or do you think this is a disaster? I'm going to be really hard pressed to do what I was doing before. And that's
I don't
kind of
know
a
about you,
curious
man,
thing.
but I am like, it's cranked, it's on full every day at the moment. Like, it's
Oh
just
yeah, for guys
crazy,
like us, I mean,
crazy. Yeah.
this is really nuts. I'm, you know, at my company, the guy who's out there and doing virtual content. So I'm making my podcast still. That's a question I wanted to ask you. Today's Tuesday, so it's podcast release day, and I debated. I have a couple of interviews still in the queue that I hadn't put out there yet that were recorded well before the pandemic changed our lives forever. So I debated about what to do with those and is it relevant? Is it appropriate? Is it tone deaf if I just go ahead and put these interviews out because they're very fun interviews? They're lively. We talk about, you've been interviewed on my show. We talk about music and entertainment and try to have it be lighthearted and fun. And if you just heard that in isolation under today's circumstances, it might sound wrong. But I prefaced it by saying, listen, we got a plenty of opportunity to gather current event content. In fact, if you want that, come to talk to Steve and I on weekday mornings at 8 a.m. Or come to my weekly show at iOffice. But that's where we'll talk about how the workplace is being dealt with or how we're working with our organizations to get through the crisis. But we still need an escape. We need to, hear some people laugh and smile. And that's what I did today with my episode 102. We
Good.
we had this great interview with a IFMA friend of mine, a woman who's in facility management and just has been in that career for 20 plus years. Great stories, great, just joyful spirit. It made me smile listening to it. So I hope it does that for others.
Good, good. No, no, and I think we have to try and maintain that sense of normality, I think, right? And but
Yeah.
it at the same time is I haven't recorded any podcast since
New stuff. Yeah.
new stuff since we went forward. And couple of reasons. One, bandwidth. My bandwidth is just I'm just on all the time at the moment, which is fine. And obviously, my day job's got to take priority. That's what pays my bills. That's what, it's open source workplace is a byproduct of my day job.
Right.
Doing my day job helps me create open source workplace, but then open source workplace helps me tremendously. You think about those interviews, the conversations you have with those individuals, being able to really dig deep into their mentality and sort of some of the research that they've done and then bring that into my day job is phenomenal. So one is the byproduct, but at the same time, my first responsibility will be and always has to be to the day job. But I haven't went and interviewed. Partly as well, where you hesitate, I hesitate too because it's like, am I doing a service or am I doing a disservice to the audience, but also to the service providers or people who I may be interviewing in this environment? Because will this be sustainable once normality goes back to? Is a service or a disservice? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll figure it
and
out. We'll
and the
figure it out.
Yeah, of course, of course, of
Ec
course, of course.
and,
But,
go ahead.
no, no,
Content, I was
one
gonna
one
say, as far as work bleeding into our online world, which you and I are used to, but now everybody's on Zoom calls and Skype meetings, and we're seeing all these posts about those calls, just what I'll call the typical office workers, the people in the workplace that all of a sudden are now working from home and video conferencing, and they're doing their own version of something like this live stream, right? But it's on a business to business meeting type basis. Uh, I'm finding that their content is all of a sudden cluttering up the marketplace a little bit, and there's a little bit of a overkill with all these screenshots of everybody on their screen. But I'm cool with it. Everybody's trying to share that, hey, this is what we're doing. We're being effective. We're trying to move forward and plow ahead with business. What are your thoughts on that? Are you finding that it's harder now to put out your content or try to reach the audience you're trying to reach with valuable information because there's just a lot of people posting right now?
I mean, I think there's always a lot of people posting. I think the type of content has just shifted. I think that's what happened because all these organizations who are now doing webinars, podcasts, and putting out uh, video content previously may not have put out video content, but perhaps put out text content, photo content, other types of content, other forms of content. They would have spent their time at trade shows, conferences, and so on and so forth. So now their energies are being focused elsewhere. Now, the flip side of it is for people like you and I, competition increases. But again, the reason why you and I do what we do is because we want to provide a service to the industry. So this means that the industry at this moment in time has so much information to absorb, but this content will never go away. There will always be people to come back and actually watch, learn, observe, and take away information that then they can take to their organizations as opportunities to change, to innovate, and so on and so forth, right? So I
Yeah, and
think
I'm
that's
I'm
how.
good with it.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm an abundance philosophy guy.
yeah,
I'm not a
yeah,
scarcity guy trying to hide from all the other stuff.
yeah.
In fact, I welcome it. I want more people doing podcasts about workplace. I want more people doing webinars that are good quality because there's some great experts out there. In fact, IFMA is putting on a webinar later this morning. I hope to jump in on a little bit. I'm definitely going to get the recording if I don't see it. Some of my friends from the IFMA community there. I watched a webinar over the weekend from the IFMA Corporate Facilities Council, some really practical stuff. Wayne Wetzel and his group, who understands, disinfecting offices, cleaning offices, and
Mm,
how to get ready to move back into the built environment in a safe and effective way. Some really practical, hour-long deep
yeah,
dive into the chemicals and the decisions about your contractors around cleaning. I mean, I could never do speak to that in any intelligent way. So I'm so glad that everybody's out there putting out that type of great practical information. So this is
yeah,
what we do is more, I think, kind of inspirational encouragement, just kind of real world conversation. It's helping me more than anyone. So the fact that we're here together
Good.
and talking about this stuff is, if we're the only ones talking, it's okay. But I do welcome folks who are listening to leave comments or chat and tell us what you're thinking. What are you dealing with? Are you tired of all the content? Are you saying, hey, Mike and Steve, just go talk amongst yourselves. We don't need your faces on my YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Or are you looking for something specific that you're not getting? Is there something that you'd like to see more of? And I think that'd be a curious thing to know, because some people are farther along in the journey than others. You and I are 3 or 4 weeks into this. Some, just yesterday, our governor here in Virginia locked down the state with the official stay-at-home order,
wow.
executive order on that. So for a long time, these first few weeks, a lot of people weren't doing what we were doing. We were kind of proactively staying away, trying to flatten the curve, and we bought into that early. But there are other parts of the country that are just doing it now, or maybe even still not doing it. I think there's still places that haven't, taken this seriously enough, or it hasn't hit their part of the country, so they haven't felt the need. But so there are people along the different journeys saying, "Oh, I'm just now starting to work from home today," or maybe they will start next week. So it's kind of interesting. It's a big country out there, big
No, it
world
is
out there.
actually. I saw a simulation this morning. Really, really clever. So they took Fort Lauderdale Beach, the beach of Fort Lauderdale, and they basically tracked the cell phones on a given day of everyone who's on this beach. Right now, you can get into the sit the conversation around privacy and so on and so forth. But let's ignore that for the purpose of what we're
Yeah.
trying to talk about right now. It's so you've got this beach full of people who are on spring break. The impact that those people, those cell phones, and how they moved through Fort Lauderdale when they come off the beach, and how many people they would have impacted whenever they went back to their hometowns. And you see the radius around Fort Lauderdale is the people on the beach that day would have impacted 50,000 people in Fort Lauderdale, the time that they
Wow.
were there.
Okay.
And then as they went home, it's going to impact 800,000 people all through the East Coast and some across as far as California.
Yeah.
That shows
And
you
we
how
won't know
this
for
is
weeks, right?
right. Now, you take that and you do the simulation of Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
Oh,
And, and,
unbelievable.
and that's why it's, although many states have not felt the impact, seen the impact, and I think it is going to come. And what's scary is, I don't know if you saw the data this morning from Spain. So Spain's been in lockdown for 3 weeks. The amount of cases increases day over day. The amount of people who have lost their life to this has
Mhm.
increased day over day. And you're kind of like, how long will this be around if it's locked down for 3 weeks? And this is where streets are empty. No one's been like, you get arrested, you get fined if you're out on the streets. And 3 weeks later, this is still increasing. So it is a real, it's going to be a long haul.
Yeah, we're heading into some tough times for sure. But to keep our
Yeah.
spirits up, I offered up some memes. I know you're inviting the audience to share their funny memes, funny stories, funny YouTube videos that kind of take our minds off the day to day. And we've seen a lot of these Zoom calls being recorded. You wanted to talk a little bit about that. So we can do
Yeah,
the
no, I
memes
did.
first, or talk about
Yeah, no,
that.
let's do the memes because that's
Okay.
we all get do with humor.
I saw one that's, I don't know if it's based on my area. It was on LinkedIn. I should give credit to the person who posted it. I don't remember who it was originally, but a meme of what looks like a map of the metro train system, the subway system here in our nation's capital, with the different colors and the different routes. But this is the current commuting situation under coronavirus, and with all working from home, and you've got the routes going around, featuring
It's good. It
the
was good.
kitchen, stop by the refrigerator, back to the office, back to the bedroom, all these things. It's very funny.
It
Um,
is really, really good. The cluttered
and
drawer.
that's
I
pretty
thought that
much
was funny.
a day in the life for the last couple 3 weeks for us, right?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I certainly feel like that. Well, to be honest, mine's from the home office to the kitchen to bed. That's really where mine's been.
That's all you need.
It is. It is. It
One
is.
path each day. The other one
Exactly.
I thought was good.
Exactly.
My mom and dad sent it to me. My mom probably found it in a paper, but because grandparents often complain their children and grandchildren don't come visit often enough, pop up that meme, because now the opposite is true, right?
It's so
If
true. It's so true.
if they're not
Uh,
coming, it's because they love you very much, grandma and grandpa.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's
that's great.
it is good. It is good, and we all have to find the humor in situations, right? So, and one thing I just wanted to, yeah, you saw that. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I want to touch on it again today. You know, there's humor, and there's times when humor isn't appropriate, when isn't it appropriate, and there is a video circulating on YouTube and social media about an unfortunate incident where a young lady was on a Zoom call, went to the bathroom, and it's been circulated, right?
I
And
saw it. Yeah.
I'll admit my response was the same as everybody's. And I don't want to. Obviously, we've decided not to show it, so that's sort of where our take on this situation. But what I do want to say is, you know, I went through a series of emotions as I
As did
watched.
I. Yeah.
Yeah.
Describe it. What did, when you
Um,
first saw it, did you
so when
laugh?
I first saw it, I laughed.
Yeah,
I did laugh. I did
of
laugh.
course.
I shared it with one person, and then afterwards, as soon as I shared it, I went, you know, let me just take a step back and think about what happened here. Right? Here's an individual who joined a work call, went, you know, on the call with maybe, you know, 7, 8 colleagues, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Then somebody decided to record that call. Somebody then made the decision to put that on social media, and share it with the world.
Right.
And then we, as the world, have went and one seen the humor and shared it with other people. And, you know, it's the whole emotion of attached to that sort of I completely went, you know, at 180 on my whole emotions.
Yeah.
And the offset of that is, you know, you asked me about content that is spiking on open source workplace. And one piece of content that is spiking is, can my employer record me and is it legal?
Hmm.
And
Okay.
it's really interesting in a sense of the psychology impact of, you know, while we're doing these Zoom calls, which is really easy to record, but usually it's only the host that can record it. And but people are obviously concerned about this fact that I think organizations probably could do something to communicate the sort of etiquette around the Zoom and Skype. Same things, you know. It's not just Zoom. It's we're not critiquing these organizations who have provided this great service to workplaces all over the world, companies all over the world. It's the individuals. And I just wonder how that individual feels who did originally record and post. You know.
Yeah, and a couple questions come to mind now that you say that and describe it that way, because I went through the same spectrum of emotion from laughing at first to thinking, "Oh my gosh," empathizing with this woman, how
Hmm.
awful for her, feeling really bad, and then thinking, "Wow, who took the time to share it?" And then how do they feel now that it's out there and gone viral, and this person has to deal with the emotion of that? It's so difficult when someone's put in the limelight unwillingly as a meme or as a for a cheap laugh. And I really felt bad. I felt, and I didn't, I debated to send it to my kids or, somebody who might think it was funny. Then I went, no, I'm not going to. And it was all very, rapid fire emotions. So how are you doing with knowing what the etiquette is? I mean, I think we all think we know, but I think many people don't and don't know what the policy should be, especially in a corporate world. Has your company communicated very clearly what the proper things to do and not do are? Because I know it was more about getting everybody set up on my end. It was about make sure we have access to Zoom and the tools we need to communicate. But I don't remember seeing a list of policies or procedures. Maybe we all want to assume the best, that people are in their human experience will come up with the most graceful and best etiquette, but that's always not the case, or sometimes not the case, right?
Yeah, no, it's I'm just
Are you
absorbing
getting
what you said.
specific policies from your
No,
organization?
we same thing as what you noted there. It is okay. So ensure people are using video. The whole point of the using the video is to keep people connected, right? So you
Mm.
visually see people, you get reactions. It means people feel connected to teammates and colleagues. That's what, not the directive, but encouragement, right? And
And it
then
leads to
whenever we
better,
have,
I've heard it, it leads, I've seen, to better engagement in a
oh,
conference
for
call
sure,
setting. Because our
for
old
sure,
school
for sure.
mentality back in the normal times where, you put on a conference call and mute yourself and you could drift
And
off into
it's
another
look, and
million ways.
Yeah, and it's so much fun, right? With all the
Yeah,
virtual backgrounds, everyone comes on different backgrounds. It's
love that.
brilliant,
Yeah,
right? For the first few minutes, it really is good, and it's just great to see colleagues. It's just so good,
yes,
right? You forget in these times actually how much you miss your colleagues,
absolutely.
um, and sometimes we just take those things for granted. But it's great whenever you get to see. But there's been no formal communication. Don't record and share on social media. But,
Yeah,
but an organization will look at it and go, "Well, why would you need to tell people that?" But obviously some organizations maybe do, you know?
it's funny what we assume is correct, and that's what something the policies and the practices that we talk about for the last several years about workplace and making the most of change management and move management and new workplace strategies. It's all about communication and being upfront and not letting the emptiness fill don't let people fill the lack of information with their own imaginations, right? That's always been my
Mhm.
thing. The default setting for many of us is a negative one. If you don't hear why a decision is being made very clearly, what the business strategy behind this particular new decision or strategy or move or workplace design, if you don't understand the details as to what people are thinking, you're going to fill in the negativity. And that can happen in any scenario, and especially in this scenario where we're all kind of wondering. And again, I talked about this last time or yesterday that a lot of times our leaders don't know because the facts aren't there. The data is not available to know exactly where we'll be, you know, a week, 2 weeks, 2 months from now. So they're hesitant to put out what that vision is or what the purpose of this policy is or that what our strategy is down the road because they don't know and they don't want to be kind of putting out bad information. But I guess there's a real need for that transparency and understanding that we don't have all the answers, but here's what we're thinking and we're going to look for this data to tell us what's right here and what's going on there. That's what I hope we can find that place of balance and help people navigate because the well-being issues, the mental health issues are really going to start coming up. And I keep talking about this, and I think it's always been an issue in the workplace, right? I mean, health and well-being was a top topic for me. Was it on your site? I
Yeah,
mean, that's something
yeah.
that gets
Oh,
a
for
lot of
sure.
attention
Yeah,
because
for
we
sure.
struggle. Yeah, and even in normal times we struggle. So now I can't imagine what folks are going through right now.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been doing over the last few months is actually providing write-ups on different well-being companies. So who the companies around the world that actually provide these services, and
Yeah,
then we've been creating reports and reviews of those different organizations because well-being is such a huge component of workplace and almost I don't want to say it's corporate responsibility. It's not corporate responsibility, but a lot of corporations are making it their responsibility, right? And so, how do you provide a service to sort of, you know, um, how do you provide content or how do you show people where to go, what companies are there, how are they rating, and so on and so forth. So, we've been actually doing reviews of these organizations that you organization would use for well-being.
sure.
Um, yeah,
What other content?
yeah,
You said you have access to it, but we didn't discuss it. What
yeah.
other content is the work from home practical stuff the top
Yeah.
searched
Yeah, it
items?
is. It is. It is.
Have you seen a big
So
drop
it's
off in what you would call your
yeah.
traditional content? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. It is, and it's a little wary actually whenever you see that drop off in content, and that's obviously was people create the work from home content. That's why people are because everyone's seeing, what people are searching for, and then they're responding with the content in kind. Um, so I mean, what I'm also saying though is, okay, so where are people thinking about, okay, I'm out of a job. How do I earn money? Can I work from home doing this type of job? Can I work from home doing this type of job? Can I work from home doing
Oh, I
this type
see.
of job? And who's hiring? Right.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that type of content is also coming through as well. Um,
Do you have a job
but
board at Open Source Workplace, or is that not something you've
No,
traditionally
I mean,
done?
I mean, what I want to try and do is build a community where it becomes open source workplace becomes a go-to resource. I want to be an aggregator of content, right? It's yes, at this moment, I create most of the content. People provide content for free, and I publish it for them for free.
Right.
And obviously, I aggregate a lot of your podcast, other people's podcasts, other people's videos, YouTube channels, etc. I aggregate it. So I kind of want open source workplace to be this free resource that everyone can sort of contribute to. and then we publish it from there, and everyone can link back to their own sites and so on and so forth. But in essence, it's like, how do we provide professionals with a go-to resource? And that's sort of what my hope and plan is
Yeah.
for open source workplace.
And that'll
Yeah,
happen organically
of
with our
course.
communities. It's happened over the years for
Yeah.
me. In fact, this episode today on the podcast, Dawn mentioned how we met. I didn't even remember it, but went back a couple, maybe 4 or 5 years, where she was making a move from San Francisco to DC. And she reached out to the members of the IFMA community that were on the DC board of directors, and which I was at the time. I reached back out to her, not knowing who she was, but just being part of that community and trying to provide some direction and resources. And that's how we met online. And then we met each other,
Mm,
about 6 months later at World Workplace in San
mm.
Diego. So here it is, reminiscing about that story and the value of community. And it happens on the podcast too. And on our LinkedIn, I'm sure it does for you. People will reach out and ask for, you know, direction on career and jobs. And it's just such a joy to be able to, help people in that way. It's something I really love about this online world in which we now operate. So I think we all
Yeah,
need
and I
to
think I think
be
both of
brave
us
enough to reach
come.
out to each other.
Yeah, no, no, and I think both of us come with that sort of humility and sort of empathy, right? How do we help people? And for me, I can't help enough people. I get a lot of people who reach out to me, send me resumes, do this, do that, and when I
Mhm.
say do this, do that, they're reaching out for me, asking how I can help with this or that, and it's like all the time I'm kind of like, there's so many things I could be doing. Bandwidth is just, it's so tough, and there's so many
It is
things and
tough.
plans that I want to do, but in time we'll get there. We'll
Well,
get
how are you
there.
holding up personally? We have a few more minutes. I gotta ask you and check in each day. And we talked about well-being and mental health. I know you're a rock. You're my rock, Steve. You're not going to be the one
You're too
to
kind,
admit that
bud.
anything's
You're
going
too
going.
kind.
But I went for a run last night.
Good for you, man.
Felt good after that. Although I'll tell you, it's April is almost here,
Mm.
and the flowers are blooming in the DC metro area. And boy, the pollen count is coming up. I'm not one to suffer from allergies, thankfully, but boy, the thickness of the air, the smell of that pollen is something. Do you pick that up when you're out running? Is it something that bothers you at all?
Um, no, I suffer from allergies. I sure do.
Do you?
I haven't picked it up. Well, I don't think I've picked it up at the moment, but who
Okay.
knows? But every morning I get out, I get my run, I clear the lungs, I clear the air, and just get the cobwebs off. My life at the moment is pretty much sitting in this seat all day long at the moment, and that's
Okay.
okay. Um, but it's just we just got to keep going, man. Right? We
You
just got to
sleeping
keep going.
okay? You able to
Sleeping
fall
good, man.
asleep?
I
Okay.
sleep good. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I
Never
spent a
had a
lot of
problem with that,
time.
huh?
No, no, no. I
See, we're
have.
opposites.
I have. I
I
have.
Oh, you
No, I
have. Okay.
have. Yeah, I've worked hard to really optimize my sleep. Worked hard. And I could we could talk about it at length of the
Yeah,
some of
maybe
the things
tomorrow
that
we
I
got to
do.
revisit this because I
Yeah, some
struggle
of the things that
sometimes.
I do, man, you may be a little taken aback by some of the lengths that I go
Oh,
to.
see, a
Yeah.
teaser,
There
a
you go,
little
man. There you go.
little little teaser to get people to come back and hear more about the
Yeah.
Steve Todd sleep routine. I'll tell you what, I'll
Hey.
give you a funny note as we're trying to build our, YouTube channel here and share with people and hopefully build an audience that finds value in this conversation, that will build up the chat, and have some conversations among the community in the chat. I hope that would be the case in the coming months. But uh, I went looking for some sleep music on YouTube, and there's some people that live stream music just for 12, 24 hours. I'm not sure how it all works, but they just are putting out relaxing music. There were 5,000 plus listeners on a live stream with just this music playing, but the chat was going like nuts. People were just talking to each other in
Couldn't
the chat.
sleep.
I guess they're all people who can't sleep. So it's ironic,
Oh,
but that's
that
the
is
maybe that's what we
ironic.
need to
That
do.
is
Just
funny.
start we just need to start some kind of a quirky, you know, live stream that people just want to come to and talk to each other, and we'll just
Yeah,
disappear.
we'll just do our thing, and they'll just be over there chatting about whatever they want to chat
Yeah,
about.
that's
Yeah, no,
fine.
that'd be good, man. That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be funny. Wow,
All
that's
right.
funny.
Well, again, you've started my day on a positive note.
No, thank you. You too, man. You too.
Seeing your face each day is really good to help get me going. And it gets me up, and I'm into a routine now like I've never been before, with the early wake up and starting my day, and I'm
Good.
much better equipped to tackle what's ahead. So I hope you have a good one.
No, no, you too, man. I thank you, and I appreciate this. I look forward to speaking to you each morning. So thank you, man. I appreciate it, and
All right.
catch you tomorrow. Don't be a fool tomorrow. Catch you
Don't be a
tomorrow.
what?
A
Don't be a
fool.
fool? Is that a
Yeah.
quote from a movie?
No, man. What date is it tomorrow?
Oh, April Fool's Day. I got you. April
Ah,
1st. See,
there you
you
go,
shoulda
man.
you shoulda got me tomorrow. All right,
There
man.
you
I'll
go.
see you then.
There you go.
Take
All
care.
right. Take care.